What's up guys, welcome back to my channel Hair System DIY. Today I want to talk about my experience with Propecia, otherwise known as Finasteride. Don't forget, New Lace CU is still offering that 20% discount on your first hair system. I'm going to put the code in the screen above. It's New Lace CU20. Please don't miss out on that discount. It's going to save you a lot of money during coronavirus times, so much uncertainty. Get in on that discount. So before I really get going on my experience, I want to explain to you what Propecia is and what it does for those who don't know. Now, Propecia, otherwise known as Finasteride, is basically a drug that stops testosterone from converting into DHT. Now, what DHT does is it basically stops the absorption of vital nutrients getting to the hair follicles on the top of your head, and that's why hair falls out in, for instance, male pattern baldness or even alopecia. So it's basically a drug that stops the hormone testosterone from being converted into DHT, so that DHT doesn't reach the hair follicles and basically starve it of the nutrients it needs to grow, and etc, etc. So on the face of it, it sounds like an amazing drug, right? And pharmaceutical companies will say to you, you know, it completely stops hair loss. In many cases, it reverses hair loss, but they don't tend to mention the side effects. They don't actually tend to mention that it doesn't work for a lot of people. So I want to give you my experience. I started taking Propecia, otherwise known as Finasteride, when I was, I think, about 21, 22. I went to the Belgravia Centre with this trichotillomania problem that I had, and I was pulling out chunks of my hair. And they said, look, we've got two products, which are Finasteride, otherwise known as Propecia, and minoxidil. And I was like, great. And they said, it'll stop your hair loss. It will help grow back the patches which you've lost, and so on and so forth. So I was like, amazing. Didn't mention the side effects. So a couple of weeks into taking Propecia, I noticed that there were certain things going on in my body which I hadn't experienced before. So for instance, I got impotence, as in I couldn't achieve an erection, which obviously for a 21, 22-year-old is a pretty big deal. On top of that, I started suffering a really severe depression, one that I couldn't get out of. And up until that point, I'd never really been depressed. I'd had some pretty severe things happening in my life prior to that. Losing a parent, you know, age 17, and a lot of other things going on at the same time. And, you know, that didn't even really faze me as much as the depression I was feeling at that point when I started taking the Propecia. And it was only when I started Googling Propecia and depression and impotence that I noticed that this is actually a side effect of the drug. And I wasn't sort of made aware of this. On top of this, my hair wasn't growing back. My hair wasn't growing back at all. And if anything, I was losing more hair. And I kind of figured, I was told that this would stop the hair that I was losing and I'll grow some back. As I mentioned, I was taking minoxidil at the same time. And I kind of thought, well, this sucks. You know, the drug isn't working. It's also causing me side effects. So the problem that I had was that it wasn't working for me, it was expensive, and it was giving me these scary side effects. I didn't want to deal with impotence the rest of my life. I didn't want to deal with depression for the rest of my life. I stuck with this for about a year overall, and nothing improved. And I was kind of like, well, I'm probably at the point where I need to stop taking this drug because otherwise it could potentially ruin my life. It was only once I found out about hair systems that I realised that there were other options in the market. By that point as well, it did take me 5 years, I might add, to move on from Propecia to a hair system. I tried several other things, which I will talk about in other videos, because I think it's important that people know about the products on the market, you know, how I found them, how other people found them, and so on. Laser therapy being one, minoxidil being another, biotin being another, saw palmetto, all of those kind of things. And yeah, you know, in summary, Propecia just didn't work for me, and it gave me a whole load of horrible side effects. It also messes with your hormones, which is not a great thing, and that's what puts a lot of people off, and I can totally empathize with that, because it does really mess up your hormones quite a bit. So it's not something that I'd recommend personally. I do know some people who have had success with it, but I also know a lot of people who have got the side effects from it, way more than is being reported. So I would be wary of that. But for a lot of people, it's part of their journey. So I wouldn't actively say don't take Propecia. What I would say is be wary, and be careful with it, and monitor your symptoms. You know, if you do start developing certain symptoms that are associated with side effects of the drug, I'd probably say stop, speak with your provider, and just say, look, this is happening. Yeah. Right, okay, so I'm going to do some more videos on this. I'm going to do one on minoxidil next. I'm going to do one on laser therapy as well. And then I might do one on like alternatives that I've tried as well. Some are way out there. I'm going to tell you guys now, some are way out there, but it's all part of my journey. This is like, hair systems have been like probably like an 8-year journey to actually getting one for me. And that was 8 years of trying to find a solution before I finally found one. So I'll speak to you very soon, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video.